Hey y'all, I hope y'all doing well. So I wanted to talk to y'all about how when you focus on the vision, it puts you further away from the vision. Now I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm probably going to talk about this at some point again, because it's something that's kind of been unraveling in my mind for quite some time. So it's no secret to most of us out here that there are practices that people tell us about, that people try when it comes to things like manifesting, journaling, focusing on the vision and all these type of things to be able to get what you want. I think many of y'all can relate. If y'all have been like me and have wanted something for so long, since you were a child or from any part of your life, you really want it and you really want to get it. But one thing I realized is that when you want something, you focus on it a lot. You know, you focus on it a lot already, naturally. But the information that's getting put out here today, which honestly a lot of it is new age type of rituals, is to set your mind on this vision and imagine yourself with it. Imagine yourself doing it, just constantly picturing yourself living this life, having these things, being around these people or whatever, and eventually life will lead you into that realm of living that life, having those things. And honestly, I think that puts you further away from it. But I started thinking about this today because I was thinking about this book, Forgiving What You Can't Forget. Now if you ain't new over here, then you know I made a video talking about this book or showing this book last year. I started this book last year and I never finished it. Like, I got halfway through the book. It's a Christian based book. I didn't know that when I got it, but she's a Christian woman, and it's because for some reason at some point I was just wondering how things went for this woman. So I looked it up. So her husband had committed adultery and she was struggling to get through that, and she was, you know, working through all the things that were hard for her and working on how to forgive, you know, all of the treachery that she couldn't forget. So I went to go check and see, and then I saw that her husband had cheated on her again, and he cheated on her even worse the second time, and she ended up divorcing him. And the thing is that she ultimately said she realized some things about him, that he was a liar, he had struggles with fidelity, and she just had to see him for who he was. And I remember seeing that and thinking, like, what the heck? Like, I didn't judge her for it at all, but I really lost my zest to continue reading the book, because I just felt like, dang, like if this woman went through all of that to overcome something and forgive something to somebody in her life, and she still got stepped on, like, what is the point of me even finishing this book? And I kind of felt bad for that, because that didn't mean that there still wasn't wisdom to be gotten from this book. But the place I was in when I was even reading this book, if you don't already know, like, I was in like the beginning stages of like a self-love, spiritual love type journey, and I just couldn't unsee what I saw after I saw it when I was reading this book. I do still plan to finish it, because I do want to finish what I started, but I started thinking about this book and thinking about how we get so stuck on the future, like on the vision. Because I imagine this woman, for her to be in this position and know, like, I'm going to stick with this man, had to have envisioned at some point, I'm making this up, but this is just what I'm thinking, because I know how women operate and I know how visionary people operate. You constantly thinking about the vision. She had to have been thinking about how beautiful their situation or their relationship would be on the other end of it, right? So many times I think that's how we get through hard situations. We think about what the future is going to be like, or how it's all going to be worth it, how everything is going to come together and things make so much sense. You know, the Bible tells us these things. We hear all these testimonies. You know, even the Bible says that the end is better than the beginning. We know all of these things. We ingest this, and we keep our eyes locked on the future, locked on the vision. And so many times it can help us push through, but I think at the same time it hinders so many of us, and it keeps so many of us back. Because when you lock in on the future that strongly, that much, you start losing sight of what's going on today, right now. Like, the woman that ended up getting a divorce with this husband, like, she said she had to see him for who he was. But the fact remains that that man was that when he cheated on her the first time. She saw something open up in him, which is what she spoke about in this book. She said they got a deeper connection through all of that happening to them because her husband became more vulnerable. Like, she felt like she reached a new level of him with him in their relationship, you know. But as far as relationships, I think anybody can tend to do that. Something falls apart and then people become very humble. You know, people get very vulnerable. Like, that's the easiest time to get humble and vulnerable, when you're down to nothing, because what else do you have to offer, you know? But like, when somebody opens their heart or their mind up to you in that time, like, yeah, I think we should accept that. But don't get too hyped up about that, because it's like people that go to prison. They talk all this talk and all this love and all these things that they want to do, and then when they come home, if they come home and things get back to normal, sometimes like they just go back to what they were before. Like, that's how people can be sometimes. When things are down and low, they'll say all the things, not saying that they don't mean it, but when things become back to normal, they go back to their old ways, you know. And when we're so focused on the future, we lose sight of what's going on today. We don't really know. Like, when you think about it, you don't really know what's going to happen in the future. So you start taking steps to try to make sure that that future comes to pass. If you believe that it's going to be, like, if you believe God told you this thing, if you believe God said it's going to happen, just take your hands off and let him do his thing. When you constantly thinking about it, you're unconsciously going to be trying to make it happen, because every time you see something getting off track, you're going to try to do what you can to get it back on track. That's just what's going to happen naturally if you really care and you keep your mind focused, because the further you get away from whatever that vision is, you're going to notice that, and you're going to try to make it get where you feel like it's supposed to be, for you to be able to see like, okay, like, this is gonna happen. And that's really where faith comes in, because faith is believing what you can't see. Like, it's really believing what you can't see, believing with your whole heart that that thing is gonna happen, or it's gonna come to pass in your life, or anything, or whatever the situation is looks nothing like it, you feel nowhere near it, you look nowhere near it, your life looks nowhere near it. That's where faith is. Like, you just gotta believe it in your heart and be able to see it, but not constantly think on it. And all of these practices will tell you to meditate and think on these things, and to run a movie or something in your mind, to constantly see yourself living this way or living out these things. And to me, I think that's just a way for the devil to keep us trapped, because if you focus on the vision, you can't focus on what you need to do right now. You can't focus on what you need to do today. You can't really see people for who they are, because you're seeing them with who you believe that they are going to be in your life. Or you stop seeing situations for what they are. You stop seeing people for who they are. You start stepping around things that you shouldn't step around, that you need to pay attention to. That's you trying to do God's work. If it's really meant to be, he will work it out. For example, having a certain job, you know, if you feeling like you gotta take some extra hoops or steps or do something crazy to make it happen because they have a job available right now, just because God said that that's going to be your job, that's going to be your role, that didn't mean he said it was going to be it right now. Just because God said you were going to have this or that doesn't mean it was going to be right now or even next year. You gotta wait until whenever that time that he's going to give it to you. When you focus too much on the future, you start manipulating certain situations. Even if you do it with a good heart, or you feel like you are, it's becoming unnatural, and you're working against yourself to make something happen. Focusing on the vision takes all the joy away from everything. It sucks the life out of everything good, everything fun, because you can't even take time to take gratitude in what's going on today. You can't even be happy about what's going on today. You don't see the things that you need to see today, because you're focusing on who knows how many months, years, decades into the future, you know? And I think that's why so many of us just wake up one day and look around and be like, what the heck is going on? How did I get here? Like, what have I been doing? Because we've been operating day in and day out on this vision that's not even real, you know? That we don't even really know if it's the way. How many of us have thought something was what we wanted and it was the way, and then time goes by and then we realize, well, I don't even want that, you know? That's not the case for some people. Your vision may remain the same, but you gotta allow God to do what he's gonna do with that. We got things to focus on today. It's like being at a restaurant and waiting on your food, waiting on your order. You don't got something that you could do while you waiting on those people to bring you your food. Email you can check, text you can respond to, somebody you can call, you know, a conversation you can have with somebody at the table. Could you run to the bathroom real quick? Like, don't you have something that you could do while you wait for your meal? It's the same thing when you waiting on God. You got things to do. When you waiting on the vision, you got things to do. You need to check yourself, your mind, your attitude, your spirit. You got things to do while you wait. So focusing on the vision, you end up letting life pass you, and then if by chance God does give you the thing or it does come to you, you're gonna mess it up because you're not going to be ready for it, and you're going to realize how messed up you were for it. Like people that be so focused on having a baby. Okay, when God finally puts you in a position and blesses you with that baby, what do you know? What do you know about certain products? What do you know about breastfeeding? What do you know about being a mother, being a father? What do you know about breaking generational curses? What do you know about handling your children's big emotions? What do you know? What do you know about what you dealt with in your childhood that you do or do not want to bring into your father or motherhood journey? What do you know? You want to be a wife, you want to be a husband. What do you know about being a wife or being a husband? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's work to be done right now. So if this is you, and believe me, I'm still going through this too. And it's something, that's why I feel like this is something I'm gonna end up talking about again. But please try to recenter yourself and focus on what's going on. There's some things that really do need your attention today, or you will end up hindering what God actually really has for you because you're so busy focusing on that you're not handling what you need to handle right now. I am gonna finish this book though, for real. But that's it for today, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I love y'all so much, and until the next one, and peace and love. I'm out.